Well, Mr. George Ekeh joins us to weigh in on that matter. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
For that, for some, they think it came like a bolt from the blues, asking the executive to submit to them as a bill recommendations there so they can take a look at it. But for you, what's your impression of that?
Well, you see, we have to put it on that context. That demand is very timely, at least that request from the National Assembly, and I commend them for that. You see, it is timely in the sense that this country has never been so divided. There has never been this level of tension. Not even the 1966, 1967, crisis. It was division. What we are about to experience, or what we are trying to draw ourselves away from, is disintegration. That was the whole Nigeria against the Southeast, or precisely against the Igbos. That was the division. But what is happening now is disintegration, where literally every part of the country is asking for some level of self-determination or some level of autonomy, and asking that it is either we restructure the country or they go their separate ways. So it is most timely. As a matter of fact, that is actually, it's like God-given. That document of 2014 is God-given.
You know, that question comes... okay.
But you see, the point here is that knowing that this country has never been this divided, I mean, except during, a few hours of Oka's coup, where he excised some part of this country where who he and his group thought were the oppressors and all of that, and he lasted for a few hours and he was overrun. There has never been a time that we got to this precipice, as it were. Good. So that makes it very imperative, if anything, that we should begin to reconsider, the structure of this country. And make no mistakes about it. A lot of people have argued that most of the people who are agitating for self-determination and all are young boys, youths and all of that. What do they know about the war? Have they experienced any war? If you are waiting until the old men begin to bring out their walking sticks to begin to agitate, in any case, all over the world, the people who do agitations are usually young people. And in any case, there is no difference between the age bracket of the people who we are trying to disregard or trivialize the agitation, and those who put us into trouble in 1966. Gowon, Ojukwu, Danjuma, and all of that.
They were younger than the leaders we have today.
As a matter of fact, they were UK. These youths we are talking about are even more enlightened than they are, because this is the technology age and all of that. And they not only put us into a war, they carried the war through. They were all between 25 and 30 and 35.
Well, the argument has been that this crop
so
of
they must
youths,
be taken seriously.
This crop of youth, the argument has been that this crop of youths have been quite docile over the time, and that we have not even gotten to that point to begin to think of disintegrating. How potent is that statement?
If you notice the acting president's speech, where he talked about the power of words and the power of the pen, what they are saying has gained so much traction. In short, part of what it is that when they tested their resolve, with regard to the sit-at-home strike or whatever, about last week or thereabout, you now find out that it is not just those boys that were being shot by the police, on the streets and all of that, that had gotten this spirit. In any case, the Biafran spirit itself is not just a geographical thing. It is a spirit of a fight for equity, fight for justice and all of it, which makes literally everybody that is either Igbo or not say, I am a Biafran. It is like these are people seeking justice, equity, and all of that. So that is why I now contextualize this report, as it were. And it is important for us to also look at the genesis of this report. If you notice, President Jonathan didn't want to do any any confab in that regard. It was an agitation that essentially came from the opposition. So he saw it as an opposition move at that point in time, because the idea of self-determination and all of that was very much resident in the Southwest. You remember there was this group called National Summit or whatever, National Summit, that gave rise to this conference. They were all meeting and pressurizing Jonathan. President Jonathan refused. At a particular point in time, for some reason, because he was under pressure and then because of the groundswell of opinion, he now decided to buckle and decided to allow this. If you notice, Tinubu, who was the leader of the opposition at that point in time, described it as a Greek gift. It wasn't. We were all confused and disappointed that a man who has been asking for this self-determination national conference, or sovereign national conference as they were calling it then, now was going to back out on the matter. Then the Femi Okoromo's committee now came. At that point in time, the argument was that all nationalities must be represented. And all nationalities meant all ethnic groups.
What hindered the 7th Assembly from working on that CONFAB report?
No, at that point in time, it hasn't been presented to them, but I'm just leading you to where it was, where they got their recommendations from, or leading you up to the recommendations. So at that point in time, we were wondering how all the ethnic groups were going to be accommodated. And I do know that the anthropological architecture of the Nigerian society is that we have about 250 ethnic groups. It was Femi Okoromo's committee that found out that 600 ethnic groups
much more than we thought.
Which was much more than, as a matter of fact, it beat the social science figures that we know. And they were all like they were different from each other. That is even part of the reason I keep saying, and I've said it on this platform, that it is not, it's better we have a united Nigerian where everybody can have his aspirations, fulfilled under a united Nigeria, than all this call of this ethnic group or whatever, because you hardly can get, there is no monolithic knot, there is no homogeneous knot. Same in the south, even among particular ethnic groups. I'm Igbo, for instance. You will be so surprised about the bickering that go between some part of Igbo land and the other. One would have just thought on the surface that it is a monolithic group and all of that. In which case, even if for any reason there is a Biafra declared, you will now begin to find out where somebody is talking about how the Anambra people have monopolized all the positions against the other people. And I do know, like in the southwest, for instance, it's just because there is probably one irritant Igbo man that all of them are looking at as their adversary. The moment that man is not